is willing to take her time and come here, and we're going to make 2 other stops, and she wants to go, and she's just an amazing, she has that energy and the big brain power, and we just love Sarah. So I want to thank you, Sarah, okay? And Stephanie, I want to thank you so much. What a job. Stand up, Stephanie, come on. What a job she's done. Of course, if we don't win on Tuesday, that's the end of Stephanie, right? But she has done an amazing job, and I think we're doing really well based on everything I'm hearing. We have tremendous enthusiasm. We have tremendous support. Different areas, I mean, we have different folks for different strokes, frankly, because there's some areas where it looks like it's just uniform Trump. And we have others which we're actually campaigning in a little bit to see if we can get them over. You know, I was coming in today, and I thought it was important to mention, I'm self-funding my campaign. I'm putting up my own money, right? And Cruz and Kasich are, and everybody. I mean, you know, every politician, nobody self-funds. I don't think anybody's self-funded probably since Ross Perot, I guess. I don't know. But I'm self-funding my campaign. And I said to my people today, I don't think it is worth it. Now, I'm doing it, and I'm not going to change. You know, we're doing it all through the whole thing. We'll find out what happens at the end of this beautiful process. And I love this process. It's an amazing process. I like a primary more than a caucus. I think a caucus is a little crazy when somebody goes in, and if you don't have the right people standing there, they get taken over, and I don't really like that process. It just doesn't seem to be right. Now, maybe because I seem to do so well. You know, we've won, I think, 22 states already, which is fantastic. 22 states. And we've won some caucus states, too, in all fairness. But there's something about walking in, voting, and leaving. Do we agree? It's something that's going home. But I will say, I was coming in today, and we just landed, and we're driving over. And I said, you know, I've spent a lot of money. I mean, it's money that I fully intended to spend. Actually, I thought I would have been a lot more by this time because I haven't had to advertise, because the media has given me so much. You know, they called it earned media, earned. And it's been so much. And frankly, the more you do, it's like a free ad. Would you like to do a show? Yeah, I'll do a show. It's like a free ad, okay? It's like a long free ad. But they've given me a lot of that, and we've done very well, and I'm very happy about it. But I don't think that it's been worth it from the true standpoint. And that's not to change. But I just said, I'm going to start telling people I'm self-funding. Because what self-funding means is that I'm not controlled by the pharmaceutical companies. I'm not controlled by lumber. I'm not controlled by electric. I'm not controlled by anybody. I'm controlled by you. I'm controlled by you. And I'm controlled by Sarah Palin, too, of course, but that's okay. But we're not controlled, and it's such a big thing. And, you know, fortunately, I built a great company, and it's been an amazing company. I filed the documents, and it's some of the great assets of the world, some just tremendous cash flow, and very little debt. And that's, you know, I say that not in a bragging way. I say that because that's the kind of thinking we need in the United States. We don't have that thinking. We don't have that thinking. And frankly, so I really felt it was very interesting to say, and I'm going to mention from now on self-funding, because all of these people are controlled. Like Ted Cruz, he put his personal financial disclosure form in, and he forgot. Well, they want me to act presidential. They don't want me to call him Lion Ted, okay? Lion Ted. No, they want me to act. My wife actually said, now you're with Sarah today, you have to act very presidential. And Sarah would never say Lion Ted, right? But people do like it. No, I'm being honest, okay? You know, don't forget what Ted Cruz did to Ben Carson, who endorsed me, by the way, and he's a great guy. Ben Carson was running a great campaign in Iowa, doing fantastically well. And Ted Cruz announced during the election, I don't mean like 3 days before or a day before when you can recover. He said during the election that he's gone, he's out, he's quit. He's not doing, now he didn't quit, he never quits. If you know him, he's not a quitter, that I can tell you. He was giving me a lot of trouble. He was right there. We're going one and he's right there. I said, boy, we're having a hard time with Ben. But tougher, really tougher than anybody else. But Ben was in a campaign, and the election comes, and it's a caucus, and the people walk into the caucus, sit down, let us tell you something, Ben Carson has left the race. And they said, really? Oh, but I wanted to vote for him, but he's left the race. And, potentially, who knows how many, but thousands of people voted for Cruz instead of Carson, which was that's really bad. And then Cruz said he knew nothing about it. And of course, he called Ben and apologized about 12 seconds after the voting ended. Said, oh, good, what can we do about that now? Nothing, because they should have done something. And frankly, they should have disqualified. Or the voter form, if you saw the voter form. That was, to me, worse. A voter form that was put out in Iowa. There were so many things. So we say that. But I will say this, look, Ted didn't disclose that he's borrowed money at a very, very low interest rate because, I guess, maybe because he's a senator. Do you think that has anything to do with it? For whatever reason. He borrowed money from Goldman Sachs. He borrowed money, a lot of money, from Citibank, and he didn't disclose it in his personal financial disclosure form. And then he goes around to have an audience like this, and he'll say that, folks, we are going to take care of those banks, those bad banks. He's going to be Robin Hood, okay? He's going to help everybody. He's going to be Robin Hood, but he didn't disclose that he's borrowing with the banks. And believe me, anybody in this room would love to get the interest rate that he's paying. It was like close to zero. And you got to disclose that stuff. So there's such deception and such lying. In fact, when Sarah came in today, I saw her this morning, and we were talking for a little while. I said, this politics is really a dishonest business. They say things. And I'll go into it because I'm all about making America great again. Very simple. Very simple. I did a show this morning with a very good radio show with a... Thank you. I love you, too. Who is that? Stand up. Let me... Thank you, darling. I love you, too. And the radio host, great radio host, and the radio host said to me, Mr. Trump, let me, at the end, I'm on for 25 minutes. I'm talking about all sorts of things. And, it's early on Saturday morning. And where are you going? I'm going to Wisconsin. I'm getting on the plane. He said, let me ask you a question. You have a great family. You're worth more than $10 billion. You can do anything you want to do. Why are you doing this? Right? Why are you doing this? He actually said it. And believe it or not, I get that question a lot. I also get it from my family, to be honest with you. When I say I'm up at 4 in the morning because I have to leave early because I'm making a speech in some faraway place. And, they do say, why do you do this? And the people that know me know why I'm doing it. And our whole theme is making America great again. And this politics is a tough business because you can say things one way and the press will criticize you horribly. You say it another way and the press will criticize you horribly. You talk about NAFTA, which I'm going to talk about, and you talk about NATO, and you talk about different things that I actually know. I know so much. When I look at NAFTA, what NAFTA has done to this country is so incredible. Now you're going to have Trans-Pacific Partnership, which Ted Cruz totally supports, which Kasich totally supports. And Kasich, to go a step worse, because he's older, said he voted, and he didn't say it, it's a fact, he voted for NAFTA. NAFTA took the guts out of our country. Not only in Wisconsin, but you go to New England and you see those empty factories, and they move to Mexico and various places, and you take a look at NAFTA. Now, Trans-Pacific is going to be far worse than NAFTA. And what it's going to do to Wisconsin is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievably bad. And you just can't let it happen. And what Cruz did, which is interesting, he's going to vote for it, all right? And he was always going to vote for it. Then he started to waver a little bit when he sees that people don't want it. But he did something worse. The worst thing about trade agreements, and specifically that one, is they don't talk about currency manipulation and currency devaluation, something I know more about than anybody. It is killing our country. We have countries like China, we have countries like Japan, and many others. I mean, almost everybody. And they use it brilliantly. I mean, China's a grandmaster, like a grandmaster chess player. They're a grandmaster at currency manipulation. And what they do is they make it impossible for our people to compete. And we don't even talk about that in the new agreement, in TPP. We don't even talk about it. We didn't talk about it, obviously, in NAFTA, because that was just terrible, but that wasn't really the biggest problem with NAFTA. There were a lot of other problems. Well, that was a big one. But with Trans-Pacific, they're going to clean out our jobs. Look, these countries are taking our jobs. I got statistics on Wisconsin that are unbelievable. How jobs, we think we're doing nicely and everybody thinks they're doing well. But I had some statistics. I said, you could write out some of the numbers. You look at your manufacturing jobs, you know better than anybody how they've gone to other countries. They're gone. I mean, they're literally gone. And thank you. I am going to fight for you. I am going to fight for you. I'm going to fight hard, too. And we don't ever quit. Sarah paid me the greatest compliment today. She said, where do you get your energy? Now, who has more energy than Sarah Palin? She said to me, where do you, right? I mean, when Sarah says that, that's like Babe Ruth saying, how do you hit the ball, right? So anyway, but I just had this written out, and this is about Wisconsin, trade facts. 20% of manufacturing jobs have left since 2000. Nobody knows that. We'll get you a job. We'll get you a lot of jobs. We're bringing our jobs back from China. We're bringing our jobs back from Mexico. We're going to stop people from moving to Mexico. Mexico is the new China. Remember that. Mexico is killing us at the border. And I have a great relationship with Mexico. I have a great relationship with Hispanics. In Nevada, the state of Nevada, which I won by a landslide. I won almost all of these states by a landslide. But the state of Nevada won by a landslide. They did an exit poll. And the exit poll has me winning by a lot with the Hispanics. But listen to this, 20% of manufacturing jobs in Wisconsin have left since 2000. The Journal Sentinel, we all know what the Journal Sentinel is, right? Okay, so I didn't write it. They wrote it. I didn't write it. I always like to say, I didn't write it. And maybe they're wrong, but it's surprising when you Wisconsin chronically lags the rest of the United States in job creation, which is true. I've heard that. But you don't hear it. Nobody knows that. People think the governor, I have in my plane, I have a big plaque from the governor, very nice plaque. And the people said, oh, do you want to bring this? He gave me a plaque a year ago. This was before I beat him in the presidential. Let's face it. He'd probably be #1 right now if I wasn't there. But you know what I did? I found out what's going on in Wisconsin. And I started reading statistics. And he said, oh, Democratic talking points. But it was true. They're talking points. They have to be talking points. And I'm not saying a bad guy. So he gave me a plaque because I gave him like a lot of money, like $50,000 or $100,000 to run. And I didn't know him, but I thought, I liked the idea that he was in there fighting and all. He was fighting. It'd be nice if you could do it without so much fighting, get the same result or better. If you could get a better result without fighting, that would be great. Like I won in New Hampshire, and I spent $2 million, and Jeb spent $48 million. And I was in first place, and he was in almost last place. And I said, isn't that the way to do it, right? Don't you want that? Who do you want as your president? No, who do you want? Actually, I'm sort of proud of this because I actually did some ads in states. I won the state of Florida. Do we have some Florida people here? Are you from Florida? Great. Well, we won big. We won big, and I wasn't supposed to win Florida. In fact, they changed the rules in Florida about a year ago, because let me tell you, this party stuff is very, very tough. I'm not sure which is worse, dealing with the party people or dealing with the press. Because the press is tough. The press is really tough. So in Florida, what happened was very interesting. Florida, they had a rule that you get certain percentages, and they did it not for me, but you get certain percentages and you win. Now, they did this for Jeb Bush because he was going to win Florida. So if you got a certain number, you get the whole state. In other words, you get all 99 delegates. And they did that to knock other people out, and they didn't have me in mind, I think, because they did a little before I came, but they did this to take care of Jeb at the time, and or Rubio, because, you have a senator, you had a governor. And then it turned out the polls were showing that I was way ahead in Florida, and I ended up winning, so I got 99 delegates or whatever. I got the whole thing. It's crazy. They didn't do that for me. They did that so the establishment guys, the establishment guys would get all of the votes, and it worked out good. So, things tend to work out. You got to just sort of play it. The press is tough, though, because 2 weeks ago, I made a really good speech. The people were going crazy, ranting, raving. They're going crazy, up in the air. No protesters whatsoever, which is always nice. But ranting, and by the way, that's so overblown. We have 20,000 people in some of the stadiums, and we purposely want to keep some of this in the smaller environments because you can check it. It's a little easier. But that is, just so you know, that protest stuff is so overblown. If we have a person and 21,000 people in Orlando, we were in Orlando, Florida. We had such an unbelievable crowd in a big stadium complex. We had another one in a different state where it was thousands and thousands of people on a lawn. The convention center wasn't big enough, like 25,000 people, more than that. And they said, we had, what we did, Arizona, Sheriff Joe. Do we love Sheriff Joe? Sheriff Joe also endorses, right? If Sheriff Joe endorses you. So anyway, so I made the speech and the press said, oh, it was really too tough and too strong and too excited, and the people were all going nuts, and they were sort of knocking me, right? I said, well, I got like 15 standing ovations. So the next time, purposely, I went okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you all for being here. And it was great. It was exactly what they wanted. Next time they said, Donald Trump had very little energy today. It was not good. The truth is, you can't, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, because they can take something you say and turn it around, like I'll be on CBS Face the Nation. What I said was perfect. And what I said was, in fact, otherwise I wouldn't, honestly, I'm going to be on that tomorrow. And I taped it yesterday. What I said was so good. It was so perfect. And then they looked, they said, oh, maybe he should have added a word. Well, actually, the way it came out, they took words out that I said. And the only reason I tell you this is because I want you to watch it. Now, if I did something wrong, I wouldn't want you to watch it. So I'm on Face the Nation, and I'm also with John Dickerson, who's actually a very good guy, tomorrow. And we do a long interview and a really good interview. And we're also on Chris Wallace at Fox. So I think they're two good interviews, so you watch. So you don't like them. But they take things and they say it's very, very interesting. Now, the problem is they don't do it with everybody. They do it with me, but I don't see them doing it with other people. For instance, I watched Kasich today on CNN on an abortion question. And I said, what a terrible answer that was. That was a terrible answer. He didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Because it's a tough question. 50% of the people hate you. 50% of the people love you. Very simple. It's 50-50. 50 hate, 50 love. He gave a horrible answer. I called up my people. I said, just out of curiosity, is that going to get any press? I said, his answer was horrible. And they said, well, let me check. So far, no press. Well, then I just checked. This is hours and hours ago. Nothing. Nobody cares. So it's a double standard. And again, I'm not complaining because we all play the game and we all do what we have to do. But I'll tell you what is interesting. Thank you. I'll tell you what is interesting. The people get it. The people really understand. The people really understand. So look, you're doing badly in job creation, which is really incredible. Wisconsin has to keep wages very depressed. If you don't keep wages depressed, you're not going to hold your jobs, which tells you have the wrong kind of jobs, folks. I hate to tell you. We'll bring the jobs back that you're going to want to make a little money with. A lot of your job growth, your primary job growth, coming from healthcare jobs, which pay less. They pay $525 a week. Again, Journal. Wages in manufacturing have stalled, and low-wage nations are doing a big number. We're going to stop that. Household income has declined since the year 2000. Okay, so folks, you're in Wisconsin. We like the governor. Again, he came up, he gave me a beautiful plaque. My only thing is, do I take it and show it to you? It's a wonderful thing. I don't know if I do it. Some people say, oh, but he's sort of popular with the Republicans. Not popular in the state, but popular with the Republicans. Well, right now I'm catering to the Republicans, although I think we're going to have good crossover. I do believe we're going to have Democrats. I do believe we're going to have independents. I think a lot of people, and I'll tell you the people that I'm most fond of in a sense, because it's amazing what's happening. When I do shake hands with people and sign and, do my things afterwards, sometimes I'll do. So many people say, Mr. Trump, I've never voted before. This is the first time I've ever voted. Now, immediately you say, that's not nice. But then you say, well, wait a minute. And they're wearing like a Trump shirt. And there's some people, they're pretty rich people. They're wearing rich with a Trump shirt. But there's a woman in Tennessee, 93 years old. She's never voted before. Beautiful woman. Beautiful. And dressed beautifully. And she came in and they wanted, it was a big deal. It's actually been a big story in Tennessee. First time voter, never voted before. She's voting for Trump and she's so excited about it. And it's just a great thing. And I love that. So we get a lot of people that have never voted before. Now, you don't read this in the papers, and I can't say it if it's not true because I'll end up in a front page story. Trump exaggerates and he this and he that, but I only say what's true. I've gotten millions of votes more than Ted Cruz. I've gotten millions and millions of votes more than Kasich. Millions of votes more. What's happened to the Republican Party, which in all fairness had a falling asleep reputation, whether we like it or not, it was falling asleep. And frankly, the whole structure of the Republican Party is much tougher to win the presidency. It is so much tougher. If you don't win every state perfectly, but I'm going to bring some states into play that nobody else is going to be able to put into play. I mean, nobody. And we're getting great polls with African Americans because they know we're going to bring back jobs. We're getting, in my opinion, I'll tell you what, nobody has greater respect for women than Donald Trump. Nobody. Nobody. And, you know, I watch the press do a number on me with women, and a lot of the women that we see, and look at all the women here today, half are women. Thank you. But, and one of them asked, why? Why do you think you're going to do us? Because we are going to do great for women, but we're also going to do great, and nobody's going to do better in protecting our country, protecting our borders, and making this a safe place to be. That's for men and women. Men and women. So, and actually on Monday, my wife is coming up. She's going to campaign. She's never done this before. She's coming, so we're starting in Wisconsin. So that'll be exciting. Melania is coming up, and Ivanka just had a baby. She just had a beautiful baby. And Ivanka is going to start another week or so. She's going to start campaigning. She's just all set. In fact, last time she had a baby, she was in the office the following day. This time, I think she'll be in the office within a couple of days. But she's very strong and very good, and she had a beautiful baby, so we're very happy. She's going to start campaigning too, so we're really happy about that. So one of the things I wanted to talk, because it's really being unfairly discussed, I spoke with CNN. I had a big town hall with Anderson Cooper, which was very fair, I must tell you. He's tough but smart and good. I thought his questions were good. Tremendous rating. He got a tremendous rating. That was a town hall last week. You saw the ratings were fantastic. When I went like this, you had Cruz, you had Kasich, and you had Trump. All three of us, 1 hour each. The ratings were, you understand what that means, right? I was in the middle. And in fact, I beat every other show on cable by a lot, by millions of votes. We beat everybody. It was very good. In fact, CNN called me immediately following, although they don't treat me good. CNN does not treat me good, by the way, but they treat me so badly. But they immediately called, we'd like to do another one. I said, I just did one. No, we don't. And then they sent out a release. You all saw the release, that it's one of the highest rated shows they've had in a long time and beat everybody on cable. And I think beat everybody, period, regardless on cable. So it was a great success. And it was a fair interview. I like Anderson Cooper. I think he's very tough but very fair. And he talked about NATO. Now, in all fairness, I've been a businessman. So things like NATO, it's not like, you know, when I'm building a building in Manhattan, or when I'm signing a lease for the largest bank in the world, which happens to be from China, or when I'm doing whatever I do, or when I'm making deals. We're doing 114 deals all over the world right now. Now, my children are doing it, my executives are doing it. Nobody talks about it, but we have deals all over the world going up, and fantastic, and getting ready to sign deals that are going to be fantastic. But I will tell you, nobody asked me about NATO. Nobody asked me about NAFTA. Nobody asked me about anything. They talk about deals. That's what they do. Well, my whole life has been doing this. And I've been running for office. I've been a politician since June 16th, if you think about it. But I have good common sense, and I have good business sense. I guess I have great business sense. Look, I built a company. I built a company in a relatively short period of time that's worth more than $10 billion. And it's not the computer stuff and the internet stuff, you know, you open it and you open a love site and it's worth $700 million. It's day one and these kids never saw anything like it. And they come to your office to say hello to you and they're wearing an undershirt. You know, they come up to meet me, a lot of the guys from Silicon, and they're wearing undershirts. I could tell you a story. Some of the biggest in the world, they'll come in roller skates and they'll be wearing like a T-shirt. And the guard actually, okay, who's one of the richest in the world, comes into Trump Tower on roller skates, right? Says, hey, I want to see Donald Trump. They throw him out of the building. And it was one of the founders of I don't want to embarrass him, and he wouldn't be embarrassed, actually. I don't think he'd care. He thinks it's funny, but he's a friend. He's a good guy. But they threw him out of the building. He's calling from outside. They won't let me into the building because the way he's dressed. He's got jeans and an undershirt on. So it's one of those things. And he's worth billions, many, many billions of dollars. But I built a company with real estate and with other things that's worth more than $10 billion. Great, great company. And, you know, when you can do that, that's a tribute. That's what we need. So here's a story. They asked me, I was actually on Wolf Blitzer, good guy, and he asked me tell me about NATO. I'm saying, well, that's a question that's never been asked to me before, but I'll tell you about NATO. It's obsolete, and we're paying too much money. Okay, that's my instincts, all right? That's just my instinct. And I got hammered. How could you ever talk? In fact, Obama, you probably saw that. Obama yesterday hammered me on my stance on Japan. I want to talk to you a little bit about, because what I'm here to do, what I'm really going to be great at is trade. What I'm really going to be great at is the borders and security and military. And when they do the polls, which has a big segment. And by the way, we're going to get great health care because we're going to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to bring... No, we're getting rid of it. It's a disaster. No, I mean, we're going to do these things. Those are like the easy things. All right, we're going to get rid of Obamacare. We're going to repeal it, replace it with something so good, so much less expensive. Your premiums are going up 45, 55%. It's ridiculous. And by the way, whether you say you're going to get rid of it, no, it's going to get rid of anyway, because in the year 17, it explodes. Unless the Republicans do again, where they give more budget money to keep it going, which should not have happened with this omnibus budget. But we're going to get rid of Common Core. We're going to bring education locally. We're going to protect our Second Amendment, which is under siege. We're going to fight very hard for Christianity. You know, Christianity is being chipped at. We're being chipped away. And you know, you've seen, I've won most of the evangelical vote. When I went to South Carolina, everybody said, Sarah, that was Cruz is going to win it. He's going to win. Evangelical, I think they said 68% evangelical. I won in a landslide, and I won the evangelical vote because they get it. I've had great support. You know, so many. Jerry Falwell Jr. has been incredible, and Pastor Jeffress, I watched him on television this morning. He actually thought my answer on abortion was a very good answer, which is a very interesting thing. But, you know, again, that's a lot of different views and a lot of different, you could debate that subject for years to come. You could debate it for years to come. But I will tell you this, you had all of these people, and I'm winning one after one. So Wolf Blitzer asks me about NATO. And I said, look, and now think of this not only from a security standpoint, folks. Our country is a third world nation. Our infrastructure is dead. It's gone. Our bridges are 55% ready to fall down. I mean, they're really unsafe. Our roadways are bad. Everything's bad. And you may see it a little bit less in this part of the country, but you see it too, because I look at your numbers and they're not good at all. And you're right in the middle of the pack. You're not doing anything outstanding, believe me. But I look at this, no, it's true. I mean, Wisconsin's not doing well. Is it doing okay? It's doing okay. But by the way, take a look at your borrowings. I think it's $48 billion. So they're borrowing too much money and too many bad things are happening. The bottom line is your jobs are leaving. You can't be successful. And that's for the country too. You can't be successful unless the jobs come. So they're talking about NATO. And I said, well, here's the way I look at it. And I almost would know this instinctively, but I actually had some numbers, but I would almost know this instinctively. Because every country beats us. We don't win anymore. Every single country beats us. Whether it's China in trade, they beat us out. We can't even beat ISIS. We can't beat ISIS. We have military, we can't beat ISIS. And by the way, our military has been totally depleted, and we're going to build it up again. We're going to make it the strongest military in the world, and nobody's going to mess with us anymore. Nobody. And we're going to take care of our vets who have been totally mistreated. We're going to take care of our vets, okay? Believe me, I'm going to do it. And, you know, vets come up to me. I have almost uniform support with the vets. And they come up to me, they say, you know, Mr. Trump, oh, that's my vet. That's my favorite vet. But you know what? The vets come up to me. They come up to me and they say all the time, they say, you know, Mr. Trump, you're the only one. I have such tremendous support from the vets. That's one of the reasons I did so well in South Carolina, different places, and New Hampshire, where I won. We have a huge vet population. But they come up to me all the time and they say, you know, of all these people, we started off with 17. Now we're down to 2 leftovers, okay? 2 leftovers. That's all I have left. 2. We have 2 people left. Nobody got that joke, but that's okay. But you know what? They started off at 17, and nobody talked about it. And they'd come to me when there were 10 left, when there were 8 left, when there were 2 left. They came to me 2 days ago, and they said, you're the only one that mentions the vets in your speech. And every time I mention the military, I talk about the vets, because the vets are a very important part of the military. Our military has to know that when they're finished defending our country, that they're going to be taken proper care of. They are taken... The military is taking care of worse than if you're an illegal immigrant. I mean, you see what's going on where they're being, the immigrants, the illegal immigrants, they come in here illegally. You have such crime. It's such a crime wave. Nobody understands. When I announced for president on June 16th, and I mentioned this, we will build the wall, don't worry. And Mexico is going to pay for the wall. Mexico will pay for the wall. But when I mentioned on June 16th, I talked about illegal immigration, the world went crazy. It was like the worst thing. Then 2 weeks later, everyone's saying, you're right. Then the other day, I heard Cruz say, and we will build a wall. I said, where did that come from? No, he said, we will build a wall. I said, I didn't believe that. I said, play it back. That's the nice thing about TiVo. Play it back. I don't believe it. We're going to really take care of it, okay? And we're going to build a real wall. And remember this, you're all here. Just remember this. Mexico's paying for the wall. Mexico could stop a lot of the problems we have just by one phone call. One phone call. The leaders could stop it almost immediately. But they love it. Everything comes here. You try and become a citizen of Mexico. You go to Mexico, you're there. Remember Sergeant Tamborisi, what happened there? They wouldn't release him. And I gave him a lot of money. I helped him because when he came out, he was a troubled young guy, and perhaps troubled when he went there. He should have never been there. And he certainly shouldn't have been there for the long periods that he was there. Greta worked very hard on him and others, but you know, on making sure that he got out. But we had a president. I don't think he ever made a phone call. You know, it's to this day. I don't think he ever made a phone call. It just shows you we have tremendous trade deficits with Mexico, $58 billion or so. Think of it, $58 billion. When you have a $58 billion trade deficit, and you're going to yearly, and you're going to build a $10 billion wall. It's real easy, right? You don't have to be the greatest business student in the world. So you just remember this, and you can hold me to it the next time around, okay? Mexico, we're going to build a wall. It's going to be a great wall. It's going to be a real wall. It's going to stop drugs from pouring into our country. Going to stop people from coming into our country other than legally, because we want them to come in legally. But you watch, and just so I say, Mexico will pay for it. Because when you have a trade deficit like that, that means they're making a fortune on the United States. You have companies like Ford, like Nabisco, like Carrier Air Conditioner moving into Mexico. Well, that's the way you have to think of it. You know, in Japan, they sell very few American products. And remember, made in the USA, the old sticker we used to proudly have, would have it on everything we had, made in the USA or made in America, but made in the USA. In Japan, they were very proud of their products. They don't want products made in the USA. So we take their cars by the millions, but we send them very little. You call it an imbalance. They're up here, we're down here. We send them very, very little, and they take our product. We have to change it. We have to balance it out, folks. We have to balance it out. But with NATO, I have to tell you, so with NATO, I said obsolete, I said expensive. Then we started getting into countries with, actually Wolf Blitzer, and also with Anderson Cooper. And we started getting into it. And we talked about nuclear, because nuclear to me is the single biggest problem in the world today, okay? President Obama thinks it's global warming. If you can believe this, he actually said global warming is our single biggest problem. And I agree with him. I say global warming, but of the nuclear variety. That is our, because you want global warming, that's global warming, okay? That's instantaneous global warming. Nuclear is our single biggest problem, the power of those weapons. And you already have countries that have them. I mean, you have Pakistan has tremendous nuclear capability. You have India. You have Russia, you have China, you have the USA, you have others that have it. You probably have some that have it, which is the scariest of all, that nobody even knows. You have North Korea that has it. So here you have a situation. Now, most people don't know this. Now, I'm talking, number one, I'm talking defense, because, you know, defense, really the security, it's the most important thing that we can have. Somebody say, what's the most important thing as president? Security, okay, security. The top three things, security, 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 okay. And the rest of it is all important, but we need a secure nation. So we put that first. But from a business standpoint, where we owe so much money, where we're a debtor nation. So we take care of Germany militarily. A lot of people don't know that. They say, what do you mean Germany? I say this for the last couple of weeks. I've been saying it big league. And I say Germany. And people will say, we don't take care. We take care of Germany militarily. And there's reasons for it, and I understand the reasons. We all understand the reasons. We take care of Japan. We take care of South Korea. We take care of many countries. We take care of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was making $1 billion a day during the higher prices. Now they're still making a lot. But they were making $1 billion a day. It's a behemoth. So is Germany. So is South Korea. So is Japan. These countries are behemoths. We take care of them. They don't take care of us. Now, Saudi Arabia, you have to be able to walk, folks, just so you understand. You have to be able to get up and walk. If John Kerry would have gone into that negotiation and a couple of times stood up and said goodbye to Iran on that horrible deal, that one of the worst deals I've ever seen, they would have called him back and he would have won some points. He didn't win anything, okay? It's one of the worst deals I've ever seen. One of the worst deals of any kind, not between countries, just one of the worst deals I've ever seen. So when I talk about NATO, we're talking about tremendous amounts of money that we put in. Now we're defending countries, and we're not getting reimbursed anywhere near the cost of doing it. Now, you know, that might have been okay 30 years ago when we were different, and it might have been okay 25 years ago and 40 years ago, and it might have been, but you know what? It's not okay anymore, folks. We can't do it. We can't do it. Now, so I was on CNN, and they asked me the big question, and they said, well, what do you think of that? I said, it's obsolete, and it's costing too much. And some of the military people, of course you're going to hear this. Oh, that's a terrible thing. That's a terrible thing. Obama said terrible. A lot of my opponents here, Kasich and Cruz, they would say, oh, he doesn't know the nuclear. He doesn't know anything about it. I know more about it than they do. And I also have common sense, and I have business judgment, which they don't have. They've never employed a person in their life. They've never employed anybody in their entire life. They're politicians. They get their money from companies. They probably get money from companies that are involved with Japan. They're involved with many of these countries that make a fortune off these countries. And they're not going to do the right thing for you. They're going to do the right thing for the country and the right thing for their lobbyists and the right thing for their special interests, but they're not going to do the right thing for you. Believe me. Believe me. I know it. Hey, excuse me. Who knows better than me? I was on the other side of that equation for my whole life. Some of these lobbyists, I see him, hey, Jim, how you doing? He gives me 5, right? I mean, I know these people, and they're very good. You have lobbyists that specialize in certain senators. If you want Senator X, you go to so-and-so on Pennsylvania Avenue. He'll guarantee. I mean, he walks in and he says, well, this is what I want. And 100%, I mean, it's like it's emblazoned on their forehead. Senator, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but let's say Senator Cruz. It's Cruz, Kasich, Hillary Clinton. They got some, oh, Hillary, she takes money from everybody. Hillary, oh. But they will do what their lobbyist tells them to do. I mean, not all the time, but most of the time. Because the lobbyists will say, they gave you millions, you can't do this. Yeah, but it's such a bad deal for the country. Doesn't matter, they gave you millions. Millions, you have to do it. Me, nobody gave me anything, okay? Nothing. So what happened is I mentioned this deal, and I mentioned, the fact that it's obsolete, the fact that America can't afford to do it, the United States can't afford to do it, and that they'll have to pay more. Now, I didn't say anything about letting Japan nuke, but I did say, perhaps if we can't do the right deal, we'll have to let them take care of themselves, and if that means they'll have to someday get nuclear weapons. In all fairness, folks, I know the way life works. Eventually, they're going to probably want to do it anyway, okay? Anyway. I don't say that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's fine the way we have it now, but we can't lose the kind of money we're losing. We can't have NATO. Now, remember this, NATO, 28 nations. We have NATO. I think it's 68 years old. It was really designed for the Soviet Union, which doesn't exist anymore, but Russia's plenty tough, so you can do that. But it wasn't designed for terrorism. They have the wrong countries. They have the wrong everything. And our real threat today is terrorism. That's our big threat. We have other threats, but we have a big threat of terrorism. So they have to either rejigger it or come up with something new. But terrorism's a threat. We have to knock the hell out of these crazy people that are all over the place, right? And when I said we have to ban Muslims from coming in until we find out what's going on, I'm telling you. And I didn't say that from a pollster. I didn't go and get that information from a pollster. I got that information from common sense. We have to know. We are allowing, do you remember when I said they want to take in hundreds of thousands from Syria and everyone said, oh, that's ridiculous, it's only 10. Well, that number now is really high. And it was interesting because I listened to maybe the second debate, which was very boring, the Democrat debate, and they said 55 or 65,000, but the White House said 10,000. And when they originally started, it was 3,000. So they started at 3, they went to 10, then the debate said 55, then they went back to 10. But I said 100, and I said 200, and everyone said, oh, that's so ridiculous, it's not that many. Well, now, if you take a look at what's happening, we are taking them in like wildfire. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people. We have no idea in many cases who they are, where they come from, where's their documentation. Look at what happened to Germany. Germany is a disaster. Look at what happened to parts of Sweden. So do you remember a few months ago when I said Brussels is a hellhole? And the New York Times, who actually did a very good story, David Sanger, very talented guy, he wrote a story about what my whole views on nuclear and NATO, and it was a defense story. It was actually a good story. But on this one, I said, Brussels is a hellhole. The New York Times did a whole article saying, what right do I have to say that about Brussels? It was a horrible piece, that like I had no right to say it. And then you had the attack, and then you had this horrible, situation that's going, Brussels is a hellhole. Brussels used to be an unbelievable place, by the way. Not that many years ago. You go back 20, 25 years, Brussels was one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's a hellhole, folks. And now people are all saying, Trump was right. I was also right about take the oil. Some of you are fans for a long time. How long have I been saying, take the oil? I didn't mean blow up the oil. I said take the oil when we were over there. I also didn't want to go into Iraq because I said you're going to destabilize the Middle East. But we were there. We had the soldiers here. I said, don't go out without taking the oil. And what happened is we left, and who has the oil now? ISIS has the oil, Iran has the oil, and Iran is taking over Iraq. As sure as you're sitting there, Iran is taking over Iraq. So they made a great deal with Kerry, and we should have gotten the prisoners back long before we started negotiating. Frankly, we shouldn't have started negotiating unless we had the prisoners back. But when you look at what we've done, what we're doing to this country, what we're doing to the world, we don't know what we're doing. So I came up with this whole thing on NATO, and all of a sudden, about a week later, and I was criticized. Donald Trump wants to arm Japan. They don't tell you the whole story. They don't say, no, I don't want to do that, but they got to pay more, and they got to this, because I want to straighten out our finances. If I can get all these people to pay a fair share, we're going to knock the hell out of our problem, because we're sitting on a big, beautiful, maybe not so beautiful, we're sitting on a big, beautiful bubble, okay? We can't have this. You people want to do something, you want to have a school, we can't do it. You want to have a roadway, you can't do it. You need money, look, they want to cut your Social Security. I'm not cutting your Social Security, I'm the only one. They want to cut the hell out of your Social Security. They want to cut entitlements. They want to cut Medicare. They want to cut. So you've been paying your Social Security for years, and now they want to change the deal on you, right? It's no good. We got to take the jobs back. We got to bring our money back. But now I'm getting great praise from people saying he really understands it. He really does understand the whole thing with NATO. So here's what happens. I will make a long statement about NATO, talking about the fact that many countries are not paying their fair share. Okay? Many of the 28, many countries are not paying. Most of them, but many countries are not paying their fair share. That means we are protecting them, and they are getting all sorts of military protection and other things. And they're ripping off the United States, and they're ripping you off. I don't care. I don't want to do that. Either they pay up, including for past deficiencies, or they have to get out. And if it breaks up NATO, it breaks up NATO. I mean, you know, they bring up, as an example, they bring up the Ukraine. The Ukraine. I have many friends live in the Ukraine. I have great people live in the Ukraine. Ukraine's great. The problem is this. I never hear any of the 27 talking about the Ukraine. The only one talks about the Ukraine. The only one is the United States, right? And they're always telling Russia, don't go in, don't go in, don't go in. Let's have World War III. Don't go in. But why isn't Germany talking about it? And why aren't countries that surround the Ukraine talking? They don't even talk about it. At some point, folks, we have to get smart. And believe me, we will have the strongest military this country ever had. And we probably will be in NATO because I'll probably restructure it, which is number one. But you have to be prepared. You have to be strongly prepared to walk. And you always have to be prepared to walk. And if we say to Japan, we need help, you have to help us because we can't continue to lose a fortune defending you, you have to be prepared to walk. You have to be prepared. And that doesn't mean I want them to arm, but it's possible. You know, there's a group of people that are very smart people that say maybe it's a lot better for us if Japan pays their own way, they arm and they take care of North Korea instead of us taking care of it, right? You know, you can make that case. You can make that case. But the first case will be this, a phone call. We have to talk. This is Germany, Japan, South Korea. South Korea. Every time I buy thousands of television sets a year, every time I buy a television, comes out of LG, Samsung, comes out of South Korea, right? They make a fortune. They make the ships of the world. They're great. It's fantastic. Hi, we have to talk. What? Listen, we have 28,000 soldiers on your border between you and this maniac in North Korea. And we're losing a fortune on this deal. We can't continue to lose like this. We can't. And I'll have to say, probably, nope, we can't make that deal. And we'll have to walk. I'll get a phone call the next morning. Saudi Arabia, as an example. I don't believe they'd be there without us, okay? You know, there would have been all sorts of problems. And whether it was during the Kuwait War, you know, when all of a sudden people started running over there and they left and we had our great Marines, boom, 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 and that was the end of that, right? When Iraq was doing a whole big thing. So Saudi Arabia wouldn't be there. Saudi Arabia will pay. I mean, more than any of them, they'll pay. But you may actually have to leave the negotiation for a little while. You may actually have to say, I'm sorry, but we can no longer defend you. You're making $1 billion, meaning you're still making a lot. You're making all this money. You've got trillions of dollars in your funds, trillions. But we can no longer take care of you. But you have to help us out. Now, if you help us out, we will continue to, but I mean, you have to help us out. Now, folks, let me just, I'm representing you. I get nothing out of this. Believe me, I get nothing. Whether we represent anybody on anything, there are a lot of people that represent Saudi Arabia. There are a lot of people that have companies in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot of things going on here. That's the problem. But it's not good for the United States. Somebody said these politicians are really stupid. I said, no, they're not. He said, what do you mean? They're so stupid. Why would they make a deal like this? I said, because they have no choice. Because they have interests that own that company. It was a very bad deal made recently. And it was with a company. And everybody was saying, oh, these politicians are so dumb. I said, no, they're not. They're smart. They got a lot of campaign contributions from that company, came through that lobbyist. I mean, give me a break, folks. That's what it is. That's what it is. With me, it's just going to be straight. I don't care. I don't want any money. I don't want anything. I don't want any more money. Somebody said the other day, are you going to take your salary as president? I said, no. I said, I don't want it, okay? That's not a big deal. I don't know what he makes. I don't know what he makes, but I'm not taking it. $1, I take $1. I think there's a reason you have to take, by law, you have to take $1, but that's what I'm taking, $1. Look, I will get this thing straightened out for you. Ted Cruz cannot straighten out anything, okay? Kasich can't straighten it out. By the way, Ohio, you take those states around Ohio. Ohio's in the middle of the pack. Ohio's not doing well. Look at what happened to their areas. Certain areas of Ohio are dying. Their coal industry is dying. Their steel industry is dying. Kasich is not going to be able to help you folks, believe me. He's not going to be able to help you. He's middle of the pack. I was a little surprised at that, too. I think they're somewhat good salesmen. I think Walker's a good salesman. I think Kasich is a good salesman. You want to know the truth? Because I thought Wisconsin was doing well. And it's not. It's doing okay. It's in the middle of the pack. Nothing spectacular. Maybe we should take the governor that's at the top of the pack. Maybe they should start running, okay? You want to know the truth. Those are probably the guys you never heard of, or the people. But look, we have a country that has enormous potential. But we are being drained of our money. We're being drained of our manufacturing and our jobs. We're being drained like we're children, It's like taking, I say it all the time, like taking candy from a baby. We are being drained. And we're not being drained only on stupidity. We're being drained because the system is innately corrupt. It's innately corrupt. And when everybody says to me, why do you do this? Why are you doing this? Time magazine had some great stories, but one in particular about a month and a half ago, talking about we have a movement going. Now, the press is doing everything possible to stop that movement. They give me so much false publicity. I'll give them a quote, and I won't see it. Or it'll be totally different from what I said. I mean, they are doing everything. They hate it because I'm not establishment. I'm the least, I mean, I was establishment. I will tell you. On June 15th, I was like, you know, I gave $350,000 to the Republican Governors Association. I was a big contributor and contributed to everybody. You know, as a world-class businessman, I contribute to everybody. Everybody liked me, right? That's part of the thing. Everybody has to like you. But I was part of the establishment not so long ago. I never thought in a million years I'd be talking as a politician. I never thought. I still can't think of myself as a politician. I don't want to think of myself as a politician. But I'm a messenger. But we've had a messenger for you because you're tired and you're angry and you're upset. And the story in Time magazine said it. They're angry. But you're not angry people. And I'm not an angry person. I'm not an angry person at all. You are not angry people, but you're angry. When you see what's happening to your jobs, you're angry. You're angry when you see what's happening to your country. You see what's happening to our economy. You're angry when Mexico is taking all of our businesses and China is taking our businesses and Vietnam is hot as a pistol right now. Take a look at that one. That's the new hot one. And I have the greatest negotiators in the world. This is what I do. I know the best in the world. I know some that are totally overrated. I know some that you never heard of that are better than all of them. Carl Icahn endorsed me. Great Carl Icahn, great guy, tough guy, smart guy. Let him negotiate with China. Believe me, you won't have the deal that we have, where we lose $500 billion a year on trade. 500. I mean, it's a great tribute to our country, you know, because we've been losing this kind of money for years and years and years. It's an unbelievable tribute to our country. Unbelievable that our country can go on so long. I have a friend. He's very, very sick. He was supposed to die 2 years ago. Nobody can believe that he lives. And every day he lives, I call him. I say, it's an unbelievable tribute to you that you can do this. How strong you were. He was a very strong person. And just lives and lives. And I call, how's he doing? He's had a good day, good day. He was supposed to be dead 2 years ago. It's unbelievable how our country, it reminds me in a way of my friend. We're being drained. Everything's being taken out. We don't make good deals anymore. We lose, we can't beat ISIS. We lose with our military. We lose with our vets. We lose on health care. We lose at the border. We can't put up a wall. We can't, by the way, the Border Patrol, 2 days ago, you saw that. The Border Patrol came out and endorsed me. They've never done that before. I didn't even know about it. And they tell me in Wisconsin that I'm very, very strong in certain areas, but in certain areas, the city areas, I'm not doing well. And I'm not doing well because nobody knows my message. They were giving misinformation. I just took out a radio ad. I took out a radio ad because I want people, it's called misinformation. These crazy talk show hosts who I dealt with, I call them, hello, do you know I'm for anybody but Trump? I said, I didn't know that. Go ahead. What's your question? I don't care. Actually, anybody that listened to it, I don't think he's a very smart guy, and anybody that listened to it, I had a couple of people call me that you were great on that show. Instead, they said, oh, he was rough. He was rough. He's, just another person, frankly, But I will tell you, I called 4 or 5 shows, and they were in that same group. And I didn't say, I'm not going to call the next one. I think anybody I called, many of those people are going to be for Trump. But a lot of the people here you're getting misinformation. Because my tax plan lowers taxes far lower than anybody else. They said if Trump gets in, he's going to raise taxes. I'm not going to raise taxes, I'm going to lower. Because if I don't lower taxes, this country is going to shrivel up. We're the highest tax nation in the world. But they were giving misinformation into the city areas. I mean, really, like Milwaukee. I mean, they were giving big misinformation. They were saying just the opposite. They must have gotten their information from Lion Ted Cruz. But they were giving misinformation. I'm going to save Social Security. Ted Cruz is going to cut the hell out of Social Security. Kasich is going to cut the hell out of Social Security, going to cut the hell out of Medicare. I'm going to save your Medicare. I'm going to save your Social Security because I'm going to bring in so much money with what I save militarily by us defending all of these countries and by renegotiating trade deals. But they don't say it. So what I did is I took a radio commercial. I did it myself. I did a cheapo. Guy comes into my office. I said, I'm going to cut taxes more than anybody else. I'm going to this. I'm going to, it took me a few minutes. I did a quick radio commercial. We put it on now. Because there's such lying in this world of politics. It's a terrible thing. And it's wonderful to be able to afford where you can actually do something about it. A lot of people can't do it. A lot of people can't do it. They don't have the money to go out and do a commercial to sort of refeed properly the misinformation that's being given. So I can just tell you this. This is going to be, I hope, a really important day for you. I have no doubt about it. You're going to remember this day. More importantly, you're going to remember Tuesday. If you can get to the polls and vote for Trump, again, why am I doing it? I'm doing it to make America great again. I'm doing it for that reason. I'm doing it for that reason. And we need your help because we need the people. That's why I'm here. Because I have some areas where it's going to be like 90%, they love Trump. And I said, folks, do you mind if I come here and said, because I need the help because you've been given so much false information. But look, we are going to do a job that's going to make you so proud of this morning and frankly going to make you so proud more so on Tuesday. You're going to say it's the single greatest vote you've ever made. And I will tell you, we're going to start winning again. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win with the military. We're going to knock the hell out of ISIS. You're going to have a great country. We're going to bring jobs back to Wisconsin. And you're going to bring a lot of jobs, but good jobs, not bad jobs. Good jobs, real jobs. We will have Apple, and we will have other companies like Apple making their products in the United States instead of China, Vietnam, and all over the world. Believe me. Believe me. So, it's a great honor to be with you. I hope that on Tuesday you get out and you vote for Trump. And if you're not going to vote for Trump, don't vote. All these politicians. No, these phony politicians. These phony, they get out and they say, no, you have to get to vote. And if you're not going to vote for me, please, it's so important as the American experience, go out and vote for whoever you want to vote for. Sarah might have said that over the years. I don't know. I doubt it. But let me tell you something. If you're not going to vote for me, don't vote, okay? Very simple. If you are, you have to get out of vote. And here's the bottom line. I will make you so proud, and you will be so proud of your country that you will consider it one of the great days of your lives. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.